because he has attacked people. And is confused. Saul was feared because he attacked the brotherhood. In fact, in a church I went to a long time ago, when I started saying, you need to follow Christ, and I think most of you who are Christians out there, beware of behaving as the hypocrites do. Follow in line behind Christ until you understand what he's saying and doing what he says. Then speak. Whether it embarrasses you that you have little to say, work on that, because it's an honorable position, very honorable, to listen to God. Even though it may not appear that way, it is an honorable position to serve God. When you look at the Jews, the Bible said Jesus came to his own, but his own did not receive him. And you continually are ignorant. Jesus said, I was sent to the lost sheep of Israel. That was his own. Oh, ignorant man. Oh, ignorant woman. Jesus said, I was sent to the lost sheep of Israel. And he came to his own, and his own did not receive him. Jesus came to the Christians of his day. The Christians of his day rejected him. But to those who did receive him, where we say that the Jews rejected him, we're saying the Jews rejected him. The Jewish state rejected Jesus. Listen and understand. It was stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Even if I'm wrong, listen to a different perspective so you'll learn. Even if you learn why somebody is in error or why you believe somebody is in error, listen to a different perspective than these glazed over, fancy things you go to called churches, where they do not speak as boldly as Paul, where they do not do the 7 woes. Woe to you, Pharisees, hypocrites. If they do it, it's within their own church walls. People are not hunting them down. They're not persecuting. He came to his own did not receive him, but to all that did receive him, that those who believed on his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Jesus said, how can you receive praise from God when you receive praise from one another? Jesus' own people rejected him. That's a good little sampling right there. When Jesus went to his own Jews, steeped in the Jewish religion, much more than you and, as an average, if I were an average person, I suppose I would theoretically be steeped in the Christian religion. These Christians do not know their religion as deep as the New Testament Jews did. Jesus said he took them out of the world. The world will hate you. Jesus said, you are not of the world, even as I am not. The world. So when you think you're a Christian, I ask you, do you do good to your neighbor? Proverbs. He who ignores the cries of the poor will cry himself. Well, let me see. He who ignores the cries of the poor will cry himself and basically not be helped. Basically, he who ignores the cries of the poor will cry himself and not be heard. Look it up in Proverbs. Ignore the cries of the poor. Now, in a time when I was poor, see, you go by in your Mercedes Benzes, or you go by in your nice cars, and you'll give to an organization that gives to the poor. The very thing Paul was eager to do was to remember the poor. And you say, well, I'm not touching the poor. When I was poor, I was working at a restaurant, and as I was working there, I was getting a lot of harassment from, and you can just imagine. And I bet those people were Christians just like you. And you hate me for telling you the truth. Jesus did not come into the world. He secreted this to Nicodemus at night. Nicodemus came to him at night and said, we know you are a man who is from God, for no one could do these works unless God were with him, John 3. Jesus said, you must be born again. He said, I know you believe that I'm from God. He said, you're a man who is from God, for no one could do these works unless God were with him. Nicodemus believed in Jesus, just like you say saves you and makes you born again. Yet he said, you must be born again. And he also said, the Son of God did not come into the world to condemn the world, but that the world may be saved through him. So if you're going around, rather than correcting false testimony and pointing out people who are doing what's wrong, and not just doing what's wrong, but are hypocrites, making a big show, sounding the trumpets of being hypocrites, if you point them out, then you're being faithful. But people are confused about what that means. And to some extent, there is no way I can explain it. Because you don't have a sensitivity to that. Your commitment, those of you who are committed to God, how committed are you? Those that believe in him, how sure is your belief? You know, the four soils. The rock, the path, the weedy soil, the good soil. Jesus did not come into the world to condemn the world. Jesus pointed out that Jesus said to the Pharisees, you are of the world. You are of this world. I am not. And people complain about my philosophy all the time. That's your fault and your problem and your rejection of the truth. Whether it is intentional, quote, or not. So realize that you're doing wrong.